In this video, I'm going to show you how to render out your image faster in Daz Studio. You are welcome back. So all I've done is to load up my plot. My plot comprises of my figure, the properties, the background, and everything you're seeing here in my viewport. If you want to learn more how to load up your plot and also to set your camera, I'll leave a link in the description box below. But for today, we'll only be looking at rendering settings. Okay, so I'm in my perspective view. I've set my camera to my figure, so I need to do first is to switch to my camera. Now I now have my figure, thus the halfway. Okay, so next thing to do is to select my rendering panel at this point. Just in case you can't find the rendering panel there, all you need to do is to select on your Windows tab, Panels tab, then select rendering settings. You should have it available. If it pop out here, you could just drag it down to this, to any part you prefer. Okay, so in the rendering settings we have different types of options, which few of them are very important for you to work with. But before we proceed, what you need to do first is to make sure you select on your advanced settings, and if you are the type that have a graphic system, make sure you click on the GPU. For this system I'm using it's only a CPU, it doesn't have a graphic system, so that's why you can see it's only the CPU that is being clicked there, and it's only the CPU that is available here. So the next thing you need to do is also to make sure that your engine is set to Highway. This only works for 64-bit. Daz Studio 64-bit. For Daz Studio 32-bit, it is Highway rendering is not available, but you can still make use of 3D Daylight. Okay, all right. So at this point, now what we want to look at is how to render this image very fast. Okay, so first thing you need to look at is your dimension presets. But before you do that, always come to this point, select on your show aspect frame. Now show aspect frame will only show you whatever is inside the rectangle box. Now as you can see, I have it as a custom because I've designed, I pick apart a specific frame. Now let's say for example I want everything to show in this box. I select active viewports. It means whatever I have like this will be rendered out for me. And if I should collapse this, it means on the active viewport, including this part also would also show. So everything within these viewports will be available, will be rendered out rather. Okay, so let's pick and down. Let's say for example I try to use let me see, 1 by 1, that is square. Okay, let me collapse this. It means whatever I have within this square will be what will be rendered out for me. So this hand will be cut off, won't show. This board also, this side will not show while rendering. Okay, probably leave it like this. Okay, so to give me better view, so I can just a little bit adjust it. Okay, I think it's okay like that. All right, now let's go back to the rendering settings. Okay, so the next thing is the rendering type. If you're only rendering a picture, a single frame, that is a picture, a single frame like this, you make use of still image to render on the current frame. But let's say, for example, you've loaded your timeline with different keyframe, then what you need to do is to make use of image series. And once you render out your image using image series, you can then make use of Photoshop to convert your image series to video. I will leave a link in the description box once that video is available. Okay, next, now the difference between the image series and the movie. One, the similarities first is they are used for animations. That is when you have frames you want to animate, you've animated and you want to render it out, you make use of these two. But it's always advisable you make use of image series. The advantage is, if your system run out of power outage, wherever frame is being rendered out last will be safe. Okay, but for the movie, let's say for example you have a whole 30 frame and at 29 frame, somewhere around there, you went out of power outage. Immediately, once the system goes off, you lose all what you've rendered, and it might take a lot of hours rendering those frames. So it's always advisable to make use of image series. Like I said, I will leave a link in the description box once that video is available. All right, so then this one is straightforward. Just need to name your image and decide if you want to use JPEG, PNG, or any one. So I always make use of JPEG. Reason is, since I've already set my background. Well, if I'm trying to render a picture that does not have a background, then I'll make use of my PNG. So I'll make use of Photoshop to create a background for it. Okay, then this is auto headlamp. You could just set this to default. Now the next one is, just leave this to default, photo array. Now your progressive rendering. So before we proceed to this progressive rendering, you need to make sure you switch to your array mode. It's always important. Let's switch to the array mode. Okay, now we are now at the array mode, so you could see it's getting, though it's a little bit blur, but the more time you give it, the clearer it becomes. Okay, so this is just a preview of what you're about to print out. Now I will show you how I was able to set this, light up this scene and everything. Okay, so before we come back here, because this will be our final stage, let us move to the environment. Now in the environment, this is very important. While rendering, it's very, very important. So it's always good, like I said, to switch to the array mode when you're about to render or about to preview your rendering. It's very important. So let's look at the environment mode. Mode, that is the doom and the scene. We have varieties there. So if you decide to use sun and sky only, like you see, it's trying to change it to that effect. Okay, now although you can't see any what do you call it, any changes, right? But don't worry. Now peradventure you notice this side is brighter, but this side a little bit probably say a little bit darker, isn't it? Okay, now at this point you could actually change the time. That is, do you want this the sun to reflect as a shadow, or you do not want a shadow? So this SS time, it is sunset time. Okay, so my system is actually running in a 24 hours time. So if your system is running 12 hours, then you could make use of from 12, 1, 2, 3, just like that. But since my system is running 24 hours, that is from 12, 13, 14, 15. I hope you understand that. So let me change this time to, let's say, to probably around 6 in the evening. So that should be 18. Okay, so let's take a look at it. Now you can notice something, that the sun, it's not, though it's still blur, but you notice the effect of the sun. It's not that bright on my figure anymore. Probably the sun has shifted to, let's say, to the back, and you will notice there is no what do you call it, no shadow on my image. Okay, let me deselect the scene so that once I click on it, it won't show me that I like stuff. Okay, so deselect it like this. Okay, probably this panel tab. Okay, so deselect this also. I was trying to deselect so that once I try to point to that point, to that place, it should not be selected, or it should not alight it. So as you can see, it's not lighting it there again. All right, now the next one is, so let's say I want to change this also to probably let's say 3 o'clock in the afternoon, or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So 3 o'clock in the afternoon should be sunny, so that should be 15. Okay, so you can see, so the sun is reflecting from this direction, appearing on my figure, making this side to be a little bit dark, like the shadow, which is always good when you are working with your it's always good to apply shadows. So, or if you don't want it, you could actually change it. So let's say, for example, I want the light to appear on his face here. I can decide to change it to probably 13 hours, that is 1 o'clock. 13 hours. So you could see now the sun is now probably reflecting on his face towards the side, and you can still try to make your adjustments. Probably you don't want any shadow. You can still try to kill off the shadow intensity to probably 0. So once you kill off the shadow intensity to minus, then you will not experience any shadow. on your image. Okay, so but I don't want that. Now I want to switch back to the default mode. All I need to do is to press down my Alt key and tab on this point, then to return back to the default mode. Okay, so then you could also play with the longitude and the latitude. Yes, the longitude and the latitude. That is, decide to probably make it more brighter, so you could switch the longitude. Okay, so you can see, so the sun is reflecting probably at this point, then applying the shadow on him here. So I can still decide, let me say again, if I should increase the longitude. Okay, so you can take note of the shadow appearing at this point now. So it has actually moved from this side to this side. You know, the longitude is like this. It swings from your east to the west, or from the west to the east. It's a long line. Switch from this side to this side, or vice versa. While your latitude is from this point to a point like this, we swing from the north down to the south. So if you decide to change the latitude also, so let's see what will happen. So I'm actually reducing the latitude, so you will see that the shadow, can you see what I'm saying? So you could see it. Yes, now probably I don't want the shadow to be on this place, so I can actually increase the longitude like this. Okay, not that so much, probably like this. Okay, then next thing is, okay, for my oh, it's getting darker. Okay, let's say a little bit. It all depends on your on you, what you prefer to do. Okay, so that is if you are making use of the sun and the sky only. So you can also make use of the dome. At this point in the dome, you could set the environment map you want to use. That is peradventure, that will be another class, probably rendering setting in part 2, but at least this is a basic for you to understand. So all you need to do is just to choose your environment, but we won't go there today. So now let's now go back to okay, the tool mapping. Leave it like that, leave it like this. Your filtering, make sure it is in the noiser available, set it to on. Now the function of this is to kill the noise on time, to make sure the noise disappear on time, so that to increase your rendering settings. So let's select on rendering, progressive rendering. Now in the progressive rendering, there are two things you need to actually work on, which is the maximum sample and the maximum time. Now can you see this in parentheses? That's the seconds. It means in default, let me set it to default back. This is pressing my Alt key and clicking on that point. It has changed it back to the default mode. So now what does this tool does? Okay, I'm going to explain. Now firstly, your maximum samples works with the number of iterations. So to my understanding, iterations are how the higher the iterations, the more clear your picture or your animations will and more realistic it will look. Are you with me? So this maximum time in seconds, the default mode is 7200. So if you convert this to seconds, then this is 2 hours. So Daz Studio have actually set it that okay, for whatever you have in your viewport, you're about to render out in your viewport. Now, which one, any one among these that comes first will make the system to load up to 100. Okay, I'll explain more further. Now let's render it out for better explanation. So since I'm satisfied with my viewport, remember we are in the highway mode. And one more tip you need to know is when you're about to render out, it's always good to set your preview to the highway mode for fast rendering. That is another tip. Okay, so select on your rendering settings, on your rendering tab. Okay, so just let it load. Okay, now so at this point I'll just minimize that. It's still there. I still want to explain what is happening here. Okay, so why it's when, so you can see it's now rendering out, showing my picture clearly. Okay, remember I'm not using a graphic system. This is just the normal CPU. Okay, so you can do it also for any system. Okay, oops, sorry about that. Okay, now let's start with the maximum sample. Like I said, the maximum sample deals with the number of iterations. So these are the iterations you can see. Now the maximum sample here is what? 5000. It means if this load up to reach up to 5000, then it would stop. That is, if this maximum sample was able to read before this time, this is the time here. This is the time. So the maximum sample for the time is 2 hours. The maximum sample for your iteration is 5000. So anyone that comes first between this, that is, if this time reach up to 2 hours and probably you have your number of iterations as, let's say, 2000 iterations, then this should have loaded up to 100 and pause there for you to be available to save it by clicking your name, and to save it in the right location you prefer. Okay, now another factor which is, you could see it's getting more clear. The reason why it's happening is, why it's very fast as you are seeing, is all because you've made a preview in the viewport. So this is the engine, that is your system, will just pick from wherever it stops here and load it up very fast. Are you with me? And if you notice the IR iterations, you can see it's loading very fast. So you can see now it's not at 31. Now another factor you need to know for fast IR settings, do not make your scene, if you are rendering out a picture, do not load your scene with large properties, because once you do that, you have a very slow rendering rate. Okay, I hope you are getting my point. All right, so now at this point you could see again, now whichever that comes first. So you can see this is still 3 minutes and we're there at 31%, and for the maximum sample, well, the IO iteration is now at 42, which means that one of them will come first, then it will load up to 100. And there are sometimes this might not lapse up to 2 hours, and this might not get up to 5,000 iterations before it load up to 100. The reason is it all depends on the properties you load up in your viewport. So for example, if you load up a whole city in your viewport and trying to render a picture in one side, are you with me? Then it will take a lot of hours. Okay, it will take a lot of hours to render out your picture. Okay, so that is it, guys. Now let's say along the way you are satisfied with what you get as your preview. Probably, let's say I'm satisfied with this, and if you look at it at 35 minutes, it is giving me this beautiful, though it is still blur, are you with me, but it's giving me this image like this. Now probably I'm okay with that. I can decide to cancel this process. Okay, now I've cancelled that process, and let's now say I now decide that okay, I later found out that I still want to work with, I still wanted to make it more sharp enough. Now all I need to do is to select on the picture like this, select this tab. Now at this tab, select progressive, just like what you have on your system there, just like what you have here. But now you want to continue from where you stop on the picture. Okay, so select progressive. Then at this point, all you need to do is to just increase the time. Okay, once set on progressive, if peradventure you can't see this button here as resume, all you need to do is to increase the time, probably to something more higher. Are you with me? Then select on resume. So once you select on resume, you could see it will continue from where you stop and continue to render. You can see the number of iterations where it stopped, so it will continue from there and continue to render it out. Okay, now one more thing you need to know when I say one more thing you need to know, like I was explaining the viewport. Okay, so let me switch out of my highway preview mode to show you the number of the scenes I actually use. So texture shaded. Now switch back to my perspective view. Okay, so for my perspective view, now you could see this is all what I used for to render my picture. That is a base, the background plane, camera, and the figure himself, this standing stool, the bottle, and this. That is all. So with this, to make my rendering settings, my image to render fast, to render it fast. That is it, guys. Thanks for watching. Please do not forget to subscribe, like, and share with your friends and family. If you have any question about Daz Studio you want me to upload a video on, please leave your comments in the comment section below. I'll do my possible best to make those videos. Peace.